Okay, what's up guys? So a little change of pace in today's video. So this past weekend, my wife and I went to go hang out with our son out in college. He's been gone for about 2 months now. On the first weekend of November, they do Parents Weekend. So you come and hang out, spend the weekend with them. But while we were out there, took a little side quest to go pick up a new member of the family. Well, here she is. 95 Supra twin turbo, manual transmission, Targa roof, super white paint, black leather interior, just shy of 100,000 miles, 2 previous owners, clean Carfax, and the craziest part is that it is almost completely bone stock, except for a Mishimoto aluminum radiator, which is actually an upgrade from the original, but it would have been cool to be 100% stock, but close enough, close enough. And I gotta tell you, man, this thing is insane condition. I will expect to maybe encounter a couple of weird things here and there. Still 100,000 miles on a 29-year-old car. There are some weird noises coming from the power steering, so either it needs a fluid flush or a replacement pump, but otherwise, no leaks, no smoke, no check engine light, just in unbelievable condition. The paint, quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised to find that the car had been repainted. So it's either been repainted or the previous owners, there were 2, garage kept it and only drove it around town. But yeah, man, paint is immaculate. This is my all-time dream car. Now, I know that there would be a lot of people who would say, oh, Mark IV is your dream car, real original. Yeah, I hear you. But here's the thing. I have been obsessing over this car for the better part of 28 years. Now, it's kind of a roundabout way of saying that I was a fan of the band before they were famous, but nonetheless, nearly 3 decades of obsessing and fantasizing of one day owning this thing. I don't really know where it came from. I mean, I had a stint with the 2G Eclipse in the mid-90s, but from right after that point on, it has always been the Supra. Don't know why. You know, different cars resonate with different people. Actually, I feel like there are maybe 3 different categories of people when it comes to this car, and probably most cars. You have the first group, not really car people, would see this as an old Toyota and, you know, move on with their day. The second group, much smaller, but much broader. So you have those who might think that it's overhyped, overpriced, maybe underpowered, but you know, still recognize that it has its place in the, I don't know, the zeitgeist of the 90s tuner scene. It is a special car, all the way to those who would spend 5 minutes walking around, checking it out, taking pictures and stuff like that. So that's your second group. Then you have the third group that I find myself in that believes that this might be one of the most beautiful objects ever created in car form. And again, everybody's got their thing, you know? Yours could be a 34 Ford Roadster or whatever. But yeah, for me, it is absolutely the Supra. I don't know why it is. It produces a physiological response. I don't understand. It's like when I see it unexpectedly, it's like that your heart skips a beat. I don't know why I have that response. I don't even have like an emotional attachment or a sentimental attachment. It's not like my dad had one or something and now I have one. It's just something about this car, something about the design of this car. Just sort of evokes that response. So yeah, dude, all-time dream car. So I found this car earlier this year on carsforsale.com, but it was actually being sold by Chicago Motor Cars out of West Chicago, Illinois. And I pretty much stalked this car every day for the better part of, what's that, 8 months, almost 9 months, refreshing the site, just seeing if somebody sold it. It would almost have been a relief to find that it had been sold so I could stop obsessing over it. But finally, in mid-October, I ended up making a deal to buy the car. And so there was a 2-week wait between actually buying it and picking it up, which was fresh hell, but it was fun. So for this car, like I had to pick this one up and actually drive it home. For Yaz, we had Yaz shipped home. I got that in late 2020. It was at sort of the height of COVID insanity. I didn't mind flying out to Florida and then driving it home, but I just didn't really want to deal with all the airport restrictions and craziness. For Nardo, you know, Nardo only had about 5,000 miles on when we got Nardo, and that was out in Colorado, so I didn't want to put the miles on it to drive it home. Plus, I would have been trying to outrun a snowstorm, so it was better just to have it shipped. But for the Supra, I had to go pick this one up and drive it home. For one, we were already going to be out in seeing our kid, which was about about 3.5 hour drive from the dealership. So it wasn't really that long of a wait to go out there. And, you know, only being 3.5 hours away, we got out super early on Saturday morning, went, picked up the car, brought it back to campus, spent the rest of the weekend, and then I drove it the 700 miles home. So it's about 1,000 miles that I put on it so far. So we'll be doing a follow-up video on a 1,000-mile review, just because it's a nice round number of this car. I watched a ton of videos of people reviewing and driving and talking about Mark IV Supras. I already have over the years, but like I really binged them the past 3 weeks right after buying this car. You know how that is, like when you buy something, doesn't matter what it is. Like you might like read a review or two and then watch a video to sort of just check that whether what you're buying doesn't suck. But then after you buy it and before you actually get it, you like binge watch, you know, videos or read more reviews. I didn't really need reviews to convince me to buy a Supra because, you know, dream car, but I did the same thing with Yaz. I just watched tons and tons of videos. And so I figure, you know, why not throw my hat in the ring for doing a review of driving this. Tons of videos will go over all the specs and all the technical features and stuff like that. There's enough of those out there. I think this one would just be more of like a subjective kind of impression of driving the car. It might be a little biased, but still. So the experience in picking this up was quite surreal. I brought all the camera gear, all the film stuff to sort of make a little production of this, but I gotta tell you, I got out there, we got to the dealership, and I was just like, you know, I would rather just be immersed in this experience. So aside from some iPhone video that my wife and son took, it was just, the one thing I would have really liked to have gotten more footage of, if I could have, would have been inside the dealership. So Chicago Motor Cars, check out their website. They've just got ridiculous cars. They specialize in like real high-end exotics. They have all kinds of stuff, but they seem to specialize in exotics. So their showroom, you couldn't really walk around. I mean, they had like little aisles between the cars that you could maneuver, but there's no way I could have walked through there with like a gimbal set up with the full camera and everything like that. We did get a little bit of video, but while you're maybe trying to film the $800,000 Lambo, you're trying not to bump into the Porsche GT3 RS behind you. So yeah, it was a really, really crazy place. But if you're in the area, like people just go there to look at the cars, and it's insane. But they do have a lot of really cool cars. And even though the Supra, again, all-time dream car, there's no other car at that dealership that I would have preferred more. I know that sounds a little crazy, but here we are. But if there was one that they had that would have been a very close second place, they had a 98 R34 GTR V-Spec in white. It was jaw-droppingly beautiful. So I can't imagine what that's gonna go for. I think they have it on the site, but it's a call for price. I have no idea, but that car was stunning. That would have been a close second. Now this car is gonna need some work, so maintenance coming soon on every single maintenance item. I have no idea what has been done to this car. I don't have any, service record history other than what is on the Carfax, and that just gives you dates, not real information. So I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that everything needs to be done. I know it had an oil change right before we picked it up, but all the other fluids probably need to be flushed. Spark plugs, fuel filter, the works. But otherwise, I think I really lucked out on the find for this one. I did consider importing one from Japan. I actually spent about a year like learning how to read Japanese inspection sheets, finding like what brokers would be reputable to work with, auction houses, how to go through the process of importing a car home. I mean, it's not that difficult. Plenty of people do it, but still there's a lot of stuff that you need to familiarize yourself with. So I spent a lot of time looking into that and considering bringing one home from Japan. The only issue is one, finding one is very difficult. Yes, you can get one much more cheaply than you would in the United States, but finding one that is in reasonable condition, not easy. Finding one that is stock, almost impossible because they've almost all been modified. And the other thing is that I would not have been able to get it in my preferred spec. So again, twin turbo manual with the Targa roof, they didn't make that combination in the Japanese market. So I could have done an automatic and done a transmission swap, but I really didn't want to get into swaps, right? A lot of people advocate for getting, maybe naturally aspirated and doing a GTE swap or something like that. But even the transmission, like even trying to find a V160 these days, I mean, they don't make them anymore, so they're crazy expensive. And again, I just wanted to try to find the purest form of one that I could, except for low miles because I'm not spending $200,000 on a Supra. But Even if I could, I don't know that I would want one. I don't want a museum piece. I'd rather have one that I could, you know, drive and not feel like it's just some, you know, show car or something like that. But, you know, the paint on this thing is in spectacular condition, although it does have 2 rock chips now driving it home from Indiana, but I got some Dr. Color chip on the way, so we'll take care of that. But yeah, so just wanted to make this quick video well, I don't know how quick it is, I'm talking for a while, but, you know, just this sort of introductory video for the newest member of the family and the new channel mascot. So, you know, if you saw the Wash and Talk video with the Firebird announcing the name change to Always Summer Garage, you know, it kind of represents a vibe to me, not to rehash all that stuff, but yeah, it's like the best parts of car culture, whatever that is to you, whether it's going to car meets and meeting people and seeing cars, or just hanging out in your driveway, working on your car, or washing it, waxing it, whatever it is. That's kind of what I think of when I think of Always Summer Garage. And for me, the Mark IV is like the perfect symbolism of that vibe, whatever that is, whatever, I don't know, it's hard to make sense of that, but whatever that is, this car sort of represents that for me. So, new channel mascot. Okay, guys, I think we're finally done here. So, yeah, man, I might just stare at this thing all day for a little while. To say that we're still in the honeymoon phase would be an understatement. And I probably should be looking at the camera, but it's hard not to just kind of stare at the car, so apologies for that. But anyway, so if you originally subscribed for F80 content, there will still be more of that coming soon. If you were here originally for detailing content, my God, there will be much more detailing content, especially with this car. This car needs a full detail of the interior, the engine bay. I already did the first wash, so I will be posting that soon probably. But yeah, a lot of detailing stuff to come soon on this, as well as a bunch of other stuff. So anyway, if you think you'd be interested in any or all of that content, consider subscribing, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Whew. Hard to believe.